Because people will get upset because if you show up late to these things, that's the first thing that happens. People jump in the comments, yeah, late to your own show. So what's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, dude. Thanks for coming on. I know we did this kind of last minute, and we've been wanting to do this, but we gotta figure out with our own different shows when's the best time to get you in. So this was the best time, and I appreciate you coming on.
No, I'm happy to be on. This is a special show. There's a word for your show. Did you know that there's a special word for this show?
What's that word?
That word is sesquicentennial. It means celebrating 150. Sesquicentennial.
Ooh,
I know, it's big. It's
that's
big time today.
I don't even know if I could pronounce it. I'm not even gonna try it. Sometimes, so my fiance is Samoan, and I always try to like say these Samoan phrases, and she literally just gives me the odds. She's like, "If you can't say it correctly, don't say it at all." I'm like, all right, hey, I'm out. I'm out.
Sesquicentennial. Sesquicentennial. That's all it
Well,
is.
I'm gonna change the title to that. So we're casual. We're in our hoodies. It's
That's right.
shorts and hoodie season. How's the weather in Kansas City?
Oh,
Is it all
it's
right?
perfect. This is what we live for. You know, the highs are right around 75. The lows at night are right around like 45, 50 degrees. So when you get up in the morning, it's perfect for running or going for a walk or, just
Oh yeah.
whatever. So I mean, it's like, oh, it's primo right now.
Yeah, it's great right now in Chattanooga as well. You're looking 40s, 50s. It's shorts and hoodie season. I'm going to carry this out through October and then probably put some pants on in November. But dude, I'm glad to be able to ask you some questions this time instead of you asking me all the questions because I'm looking over your profile and you didn't necessarily
It's
get
wild.
into logistics as far as it goes like on the brokering side or any of that like most of the people I talk to. You were more on the analytical side or on the software side. You started out with that. Is that correct? Is
I
is
did.
that your
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
transition?
Yeah, so I made the transition when I was 32. I was a teacher and a youth pastor for about 8 years of my career leading up to that time, with a little dabbling in golf and some other stuff. And did that for a long time. Loved it. By the way, teaching to this day, my favorite job. If it paid anything, I'd still be doing this and we wouldn't know each other, Gunner, because I love teaching physics. It's my favorite job. But when you need to support a family, I didn't want to be a principal, and that's the only way to really make money in teaching. And my wife wanted to stay home, so it just didn't, it just wasn't in the cards for us to go down that path. So got into sales, and after 15 months of door to door sales, selling office supplies in Portland, Oregon, I got an opportunity with DAT. I just happened to have a recruiter in Portland that knew Janice Compton, who was the sales manager of the inside sales team at DAT, got me an interview, had a chance to go in there, and it was a great experience. And that's how I got into transportation logistics. I had no idea what a freight broker was. I didn't know what the word integration means. There's so many things I had no idea about, but I had a great career there, great 4 years there, learned a lot. It was my first professional sales job and very thankful. And that's how I got in. And I was really on the vendor side, my whole career. I've only brokered freight for 6 months. I did a little flatbed and a little reefer and realized, you know what, this isn't the best seat for me. I don't know if I should be in this
Mhm.
seat, but it was a good experience. It was fun.
So when you jump into your first sales job and it's at DAT, I mean, it's a big company, especially in our space. Was there a training? Did they teach you? They catch you up on the product? What do they do when you go in there the first day as a
Yeah.
sales rep?
Yeah, I'm going to brag on them a lot. Janice Compton was my first, sales manager. She was phenomenal, and I tell people this all the time. Training and onboarding is so critical to success. And when I was at DAT, the first probably 5 weeks, I didn't touch a phone. I mean, I was in a room every day getting trained on the CRM, exactly how the process works. I was getting trained on, making phone calls and doing some role playing in those type of situations. I was getting trained on email protocol and company policy and just all those kind of things. And then I got to sit and watch some of the top reps and just watch them work, ask questions, and then the role started to reverse. Then I started to get on the phone. Some of those reps, including Janice, would monitor me and see how I'm doing. And then after a while, I got up and running. And I can tell you that I think two things helped me be successful. One, that training was very, very helpful because I didn't just jump into the fire and have to figure it out and make mistakes and whatever. I got to really learn the process that they want us to go through and be trained. And then the process of door to door was so good. Learning how to talk to anybody, learning how to control my emotions, learning how to overcome an objection or to answer an objection is maybe a better way I'd like to put it. Just learning all those things and becoming a little bit more emotionally intelligent. Because I got to tell you, Gunnar, when you're a teacher, it doesn't matter if you have a good day or bad day, you get a paycheck and you go on. And truthfully, when you're a teacher, if you care about kids, you're the hero. I mean, you're the hero in that story. You don't hear a lot of no. You don't hear it's not a negative environment. If you love kids and want to see them succeed, teaching is an incredible environment during the day. I go from that to door where I'm getting told no and get the hell out of here and just all these different things I wasn't used to. Man, it was like emotional, roller coaster, and it was hard. So that experience, along with the training, the incredible training that DAT had when I started, helped me be really successful. I ended up ramping up. I was one of the, according to Don Thornton, who was the senior vice president at the time, ramped up faster than any other rep in DAT's history. I got Rookie of the Year that year out of a team of 9. I got the trophy still up there just to remind myself of the old days. And it was all because I believe of the training that I got both in door-to-door and what DAT did when I started.
Really cool. So once you become Rookie of the Year, you have a good first season. Where did that go? How long were you there at that?
So I was there for 4 years, and after 18 months, so a year and a half in, so 6 months into the second year, I had the opportunity to get promoted to enterprise sales. That's when I actually started working with freight brokers. When I started on inside sales, it was mainly carriers, owner operators that were getting their authority and calling and signing up for that. I mean, that was, the majority of who I'd talk to. Occasionally, I'd talk to some freight brokers who were just getting started and getting their authority as well. And that was the inside sales targets. When I got to enterprise sales, 18 months in, I started working with freight brokerages a little more established, companies like Sunset Transportation right here in St. Louis, my good friend Steve Van Otten on Freight Tech, and so many others that I got to know who had, substantial businesses at that point. They were somewhere between 50 million and 250 million in revenue, and got to work with larger companies, bigger deals, sell more products, and it was just a great experience there. I did that for 2.5 years before venturing out into my first startup, which I loved. I got to go to My Freight World in Kansas City. Also, they got a tech company called Port TMS. That's where I did my little bit of brokering freight, but I was really there to help build a TMS, and I learned a lot about TMSs in that time.
Okay, so you go from DAT, you jump over to a startup. When did you get the entrepreneurial bug and jump out on your own? Because that's what you're doing right now, right?
Yeah. Started Beta Consulting Group back in January, and for me, looking back on my career, I think I've always been entrepreneurial. I just didn't know it, and I didn't know what to do with it. Because when I look back at my teaching days, when I was a physics teacher, I was building a program. I started my first year, I got the physics program. I had 12 students. By the time I left, I had 60 students. And many of those students probably had no business being in physics, but I wanted to make it fun, enjoyable, and memorable. And I felt like I was a great teacher. It was a passion of mine. And so even at that point, I was building a program. I was recruiting students to come in. I was selling them on the idea of being in physics class, even if for some that maybe didn't want to be in it. And just looking back, I've always had that bent a little bit of creating. And I'll use the word creator more than entrepreneur. I've always been a creator, wanted to create things and build things. And I just didn't know it. And I didn't know what to do with it. My dad was an entrepreneur, failed entrepreneur, but he started entrepreneur stuff. And I just think there was in the blood a little bit to be that way. It wasn't until probably 2018, after my third stop, which was at Trucker Tools with Prasad Galopoli and the team over there. It wasn't until that time that I started to realize that I wanted to steer the ship. I was a bad employee because I wanted to make decisions, but this isn't my ship to steer, right? And so it created some challenges because I didn't know how to navigate that. It was kind of a new awakening for me of this is what I want to do, but I don't know what that means, and I don't have any money. I didn't come from money. I don't have any money. How do I do this? And that really started a 4-year journey for me of trying to figure out what it looks like to actually start a business. I actually started a side hustle. I had a company called Beta Homes here in St. Louis where I was remodeling homes and flipping homes with some friends of mine here in town. And so I kind of got a little taste and realized that wasn't the right business for me at the time, just because it took so much time away from home at night. And I had small kids and it just didn't work. And I wasn't sure how to make it full time. I didn't know how to do it. But that was my first taste of entrepreneurship. Did that for about 2 years on the side. And then the next 4 years, from 2018 until 2022, was just a progression of me starting to kind of think through it, formulate some ideas, figure it out, and then most importantly, have the courage to start. I'm somebody who has struggled with confidence and fear, and so it took a long time for me to build up the confidence to say, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go all in, and I don't care what happens. No safety net, no plan B. We're just going to go for it and see what happens. And another big part of that, Gunnar, was my wife, who she's risk averse. She's not an entrepreneur. That's not her thing. She's in a ministry and education. She loves that. That's what she does now. And so for her to come around back in October of last year, almost 1 year, basically from right now, and say, hey, you need to do your own thing. Like you're killing yourself. I was gone 47 out of 91 days in Q4 last year. I mean, crazy travel schedule. It's over weekends and all kind of stuff. And she's like, you're killing yourself. Why are you doing this? If you're going to work this hard, you should just build your own thing. And it was when she, I think, saw the dissatisfaction that I had of just not really feeling like I was able to do what I wanted to do and build what I wanted to build. And she finally said, you need to do this. And it was that encouragement also that helped push me over. I'm like, well, what excuse do I have now? I know I want to do it. I'm fired up to do it. My wife's telling me to do it. I guess we should do this. And that's where it all started.
It feels really good to have a partner that that allows you to take that risk, right? To have the confidence in you. It makes you feel like you can do it. It's like it's done.
Beta Consulting Group would not exist without my wife. I can tell you that right now. Just clear as day. It just wouldn't exist.
Right. And I've said this before. I wouldn't be at 12 Point right now if it wasn't for my fiance, Tia, because when I was at Lipsy, there was a time where I wanted to leave and I just didn't feel comfortable. And she was like, "Hey, I got you. If you mess up or whatever, we can always figure out something. Like, I got you."
Well,
and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's take a chance."
I think there's something to it also, that when you think about being an entrepreneur and going out on your own, you don't want to have a plan B. Like you don't want a safety net, because you'll go to that, because we're prone to go to comfort, whatever's comfortable for us. We're prone to do that. So if you remove that, it's there. But on the backside, you always know there's a job out there. Like, if this doesn't work, if this just crashes and burns, if I just realize, man, I'm a terrible entrepreneur, I'm no good at this, I'm destroying my family, I'm destroying myself, or whatever happens, if it doesn't work out, and you realize that entrepreneurship is not for you, there's always a job available. There's always a job there. And I think sometimes we forget about that and think that it's all or nothing. Well, I mean, it's kind of all or nothing, but at the same time, the experience you get as an entrepreneur is only going to make you more valuable and marketable as an employee, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So Beta Homes, Beta Consulting. So what is Beta? Why
so Beta is an acronym that I came up with a long time ago. So about 12 years ago, Gunnar, I started blogging, because I love to write. I'm a writer. I wrote in college. I wrote for the newspaper and love to write. I'm going to be writing books in my twilight career. That's what I'm going to do, and hopefully I get it done before I get too old to be able to do it. But I love writing, and I started a blog, and I was wrapping my head around the word excellent. It was that year. That was my word of the year, was excellence. I'm going to be excellent. And I reading the Bible and talking to other people and listening to great motivational speakers like Simon Sinek and other people. The thought just occurred to me that what's most important is that I'm excellent today. Like, yesterday I can't change. Tomorrow's not promised, but today, what can I do today? And so I came up with this idea of, like, be excellent today. And it's kind of silly. I merged the E's and the T's to create a hashtag called Be Excellent Today but it's kind of hard to spell. So I kind of messed it up. I thought I was being clever, but I was not. I was making it harder for everybody else. But out of that came this idea of Be Excellent Today, and the BET, and somehow I got onto Beta, and I thought, well, I could just create an acronym that could make this easier, and maybe this will be my first book. I don't know, just kind of thinking through how to kind of coalesce all of these thoughts into something that is tangible. And I came up with the Be Excellent Today Alliance, because I'm all about creating community. I want to create community and support, encouragement for people. As a youth pastor, as a teacher, that's what it was all about. So that's a core of who I am, is to create community, encourage people, help people out, be available, serve people, those types of things. So the word alliance just kind of came up as kind of like a community or a group of people coming together. And so Be Excellent Today Alliance is what Beta stands for. That's why it's all caps. When you look at our stuff, it's all capital letters, because that's what it stands for. When people see me, see our company, see our swag, whatever it is, I want them to think about being excellent that day. Because, Gunnar, I'm a firm believer that everybody knows what it means to be excellent in the roles that they play in life. You go home tonight, you know what it means to be an excellent spouse or partner. You know what it means to be an excellent mom or dad. Like, we know what that means, to put the phone down, to be, engaged, and to spend time with our kids, and to teach. Like we know those things. But the question is, are we going to do it? And so I just want to encourage people that today, just whatever role you're playing, whatever sit you're seating in, that you pursue excellence today. Go after it with everything that you have. If you don't get it right, okay, then tomorrow, okay, you're going to be excellent today and that day. And just to constantly be thinking about today, how can I be excellent? And so that's where it all came from, and it's just kind of stuck.
No, I love that. It's a great story. Fantastic. So who's Beta Consulting help? Who are you going after? What's your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, so we're working with companies within transportation and logistics to really help them build their brand, to tell their stories, for a couple of purposes. We want to help with SEO and organic search on Google, and just make sure that ranking goes up higher, because people trust organic search results more than paid search results. And so some people will just pay for Google to try to rank up higher, but and you can do that for quick wins potentially. And you can, and not the paid ads are wrong, but we want to make sure we get the organic search right. Then that also dictates our content that we want to put out. So we're helping companies with their content. Their video content's a big part of what we do. We love to do video work. That's as you can see what you and I do. This is what we do. So video content is a big part of it. Writing blogs and managing social media, and basically just helping companies tell their story. A big part of what I do is help companies establish the foundation, which is the mission, vision, and core values. A lot of times people gloss over those. A lot of companies gloss over those as if things they need to check off. Like, okay, we have a mission, we have a vision, we have core values. Many companies don't even have them. But a lot of companies do it just to check it off. And they're not actually using it as a North Star, as a point of reference, and using it to galvanize their team and to attract the right customers. When you look at somebody like Chick-fil-A, for example, Chick-fil-A has created a culture that attracts certain people. When you go into a Chick-fil-A, how many times have you been in a Chick-fil-A, Gunner, and the people in there are mad or upset or negative? It doesn't happen very often, all right? You go to Burger King or somewhere else, you get a different clientele. And that's because
Mhm.
Chick-fil-A has built this brand that has attracted the right customers and kind of unattracted the wrong customers. And when you have a clear mission, vision, and core values, and you use that internally to galvanize your team and move them in the right direction, just like a coach would on a team, like, hey, this is where we're headed. And everybody's got to be on the same page. We're going to do it. And they're repeating over and over, a championship. That's our goal, a championship. This is what we're working towards. And they just preach that every day internally, galvanize the team. But then when you also preach that externally, whatever your mission, vision, and core values are, you attract the right talent and you attract the right customers, and you unattract the wrong customers and the wrong talent. I mean, it solves a lot of problems. And I point to my friends over at Freight Vaughn and Josh Breeze, who said, recently on a podcast with me, they haven't spent $1 on recruiting because they focus on marketing. They focus on telling their story. They've got a mission, vision, a purpose, core values, and they are promoting that to the hilt, both internally and externally. So their internal team is galvanized to move in the same direction. And externally, they're attracting the right people, the right clients, the right potential investors, and the people that want to be a part of that journey. And so that's the value of having that foundation laid. And I love helping companies figure out what that is, ask them questions, help them really discover or refine who they are, who they want to be, where they want to go, and then how do we tell that story? And so helping companies in transportation and logistics with those aspects of storytelling and branding is what I'm all about.
Yeah, those boys over there at Freyvana, Josh and Shannon, those guys are crushing it right now. They
Got
do
it
a
going
great
on,
job.
man. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
they do a great job getting the word out there because they only been a company for a couple of years when they came on. I
Uh,
was pretty
15
surprised.
months.
Oh yeah,
15
yeah,
months.
okay, so yeah, less
They
than 2
just
years.
celebrated a year, I think, in like maybe July, I think. So I mean,
That's wild.
yeah, they're
The
doing great.
the growth they have is unbelievable, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
So you're also a keynote speaker. You've gotten up on stage. You've delivered some speeches in front of some peoples. That's like end goal for me. I can't wait. Like I would give anything, right? Like I want a stage, like pro
You'll be there
wrestling.
soon enough.
Like
You'll be there soon enough,
like
man. You're on your
you
way.
know, I want to do that so bad. How did you get into that? How does one go about doing that? And what's the message you deliver? What is your keynote?
Yeah, so there's several different topics I like to talk about. Fortunately, I've never been afraid to talk, and especially to tell stories about myself and about experiences I have and things I see in the world that I think are helpful. I think that's the teacher in me. When you're a teacher, you're essentially a keynote speaker every day for 25 students in your class. I mean, that's what you're doing. So it's been a kind of part of who I am for a long time, and it's all about distribution. I mean, I can talk one-on-one to somebody, and that's fun. But if I can talk to 1,000 people and give them something tangible that they can take with them, that's beneficial. So obviously, I talk a lot about branding and the value of personal brand, the value of corporate branding. I mean, our friend Samantha Jones, she'll tell you straight up, she got the opportunity at Rocket Shipping because she branded herself personally on LinkedIn. It's powerful what she put out there and what she does, and that's that's something I like to talk about, is to encourage people to really brand themselves to build a reputation. The Bible tells us that your name is worth more than silver and gold. That is, that's something we should desire, and that's what brand is. It's about your reputation, about your name. When people see your name, when they see your logo, when they see whatever, what do they think about? And that's our job to help do that. So I want to encourage companies and people to take that really seriously and to manage that and to be intentional about that. But on a personal note, what I really love to talk about from a keynote perspective is embracing your past in order to build your future. You know, all of us from the age of probably 3 or 4 up to about 14 is kind of when we get our wiring in life. It's how we see the world, our worldview. And the truth is, none of us had a choice over what that was. Our parents decided what that was, and our parents allowed certain influences into our life, and TV shows and movies that we got to watch. Like they dictated all that, but all of that built this wiring in our minds about how we see the world, about how we view ourselves, about what we want to do in life, what this world means, what our purpose is. It all starts there. And then we've got to live the rest of our life with that wiring. And sometimes that wiring needs to be redone. It needs to be rewired because, we're raised by humans. I know I'm messing up my kids. There's something about the way I'm parenting that is messing up my kids, and they're going to have to figure that out later in life and figure out how to overcome that. And it's not because I'm a bad parent or I'm trying to mess them up. I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes just like my parents did with me. And so, for me, it was about really digging into my past and understanding my parents, understanding their childhood, which dictated and influenced their parenting style. and then understand what their parenting did for me. My dad did a bunch of good things. My parents were divorced when I was 7. I lived with my dad from 7 to 16, lived with my mom after that. But my dad did a bunch of good things. I mean, this guy drove a local truck in Kansas City every day, a box truck, and drove all around town. And then he came home, and not only did he coach all of my sports teams and was always there, but he came home every night and cooked me a warm meal as a single dad. I just don't know too many single dads that would actually do that, but he did that. And when you think about that, like that's powerful, but that's not the whole story, because there were other things that happened that were real negative. You know, he needed validation because he didn't have much a very good childhood. He needed validation. So whenever I did something well in sports or in life, he took the credit for it. And it wasn't because he was trying to be mean. Like, he needed the validation. But what it did, Gunner, was it stole my confidence. Instead of building me up, it tore me down. I started to believe that everything that happened in my life that was good was just an external factor. Maybe I was getting lucky, or somebody else was the reason for that. Not because I was in the gym shooting the shots, or I was on the golf course hitting the shots. It was because I just got lucky and killed my confidence. Gunnar, I'm telling you, in college, I could not ask a girl out on a date unless I knew for sure it was a yes. I mean, it was the most terrifying thing in the world. And it wasn't until I did door-to-door sales that I started to realize this and go, why do I not have confidence? Like, if you look at the resume, you would think I have confidence, but I don't. Why is that? And it was going to a counselor and really evaluating my past and understanding my dad and his childhood and his parenting that helped me start to rewire things and to give myself credit and to create what I call justifiable confidence. I'm a good podcaster. You know, I got to give myself credit for that. But the big reason is because I'm the one doing it every day. I'm a good golfer, or at least I was a good golfer. Maybe not as good anymore, but I was, because I was the one on the range hitting the shots, playing. I'm a good shooter in basketball because I was the one in the gym, and just giving myself credit for those things and building up that confidence. And again, not cockiness or arrogance, just confidence. I can do this. I'm good at this. And that's been incredibly beneficial. So when I do a keynote, I know that everybody in the audience is dealing with something in a similar fashion I am. Maybe it's more, traumatic than my experience. Maybe it's a little less, but we're all dealing with something. And I want to encourage people to not be afraid to dig into their past and understand how they came to be the way they are, how they came to think about the world the way they think about the world, and where they can make adjustments that will get them to the next level. There's no way, Gunnar, that I'm an entrepreneur without going through that process and gaining some confidence to take this shot, right? There's no way. It just doesn't happen. No. I stay in a safe position as an employee my whole career, and I miss out, right? But it's because I was willing to go back and evaluate and embrace my past that I've been able to start to build the future that I want to build. And that's the keynote that I like to share with people. That's probably my favorite keynote to share, because I think that's more meaningful than about anything else that I talk about.
Yeah, and confidence is huge in anything that you do. I mean, if you look at it, you got me thinking about my past as well. But I mean, we are what we repeatedly do. And if you're the one doing the thing that is getting the result that people are talking about, that is you. And you do need to be confident in that. And I believe it's Eric Thomas. You talk about motivational speakers. Eric Thomas, he says, create a personal highlight, like a personal highlight reel that you can go back to and be like, what are some of the greatest things you've ever done? List those accomplishments. Write the story out of what that accomplishment is. And whenever you need to like get a little bit of confidence or get a little reassurance that you can get something done, go back to that highlight film and be like, man, I did do that when I was 21. Right. Oh, I did do this. This guy right here did that. I look like this, And if you do that, like, it's not being cocky. It truly is being confident, and that allows you to be the best version of you. So I love that.
And what we say to ourselves is more important than what anyone else says to us. What we say to ourselves matters more than what anyone else says to us, because we're constantly talking to ourselves. We're constantly giving ourselves messages. And, when you look at it, Gunnar, I think back to my college career. My freshman year, I went to the Final Four in the NAIA basketball championship, played about 15, 20 minutes a game, backed up the point guard. And that was an incredible experience as a freshman to be in a national, championship, a Final Four. We didn't make it to the championship game. We didn't win, but we got to the Final Four. Incredible experience. The next year, Gunnar, I'm playing in the national championship for golf. Not too many people can say they played in 2 national championships in college in 2 different sports. And I have that experience. And, it's like, you just can't gloss over that. And again, it's not cocky and it's not bragging. It's like, that's what happened. I actually keep this on my desk, and I'm glad you mentioned it. I keep this on my desk. This is it might sound stupid, but this is a picture frame from the national championship. Those games are from the national tournament. The shot there is the first 3-pointer that I made in the tournament. Just happened to have a photographer right there, which was pretty cool back in 1997. But, it just reminds me that, I was the one that put in the time, the 2-hour practices and lifting weights and, getting in shape and working with the team and sacrificing time with friends on campus and all this. Like I did that. And you just have to sometimes give yourself credit. I'll tell you the trick that I do. This is something I learned from my time in counseling that's been really, really helpful for me. Every time that we wake up overwhelmed, and we do this, we all wake up some days just like, this is too much. I can't handle this. This is too much. We just feel overwhelmed. Sometimes that happens. Some people more than others. But when that happens for me, and it does happen, when that happens for me, I literally walk in front of my bathroom mirror. I look myself in the eyes as if I'm talking directly to myself. And I say, no, you got this. You got to keep going. Just go, keep going. And then I walk out and I start working and I start acting, and then that feeling eventually goes away. But that's a trick that I've learned, and it may sound really stupid and corny, but it's important because I'm coaching myself, and I'm telling myself, no, you got this. God has put you in this position to teach you something or for you to excel and to succeed. But this moment is for you, so go embrace it and go do it. Whatever happens, happens. And just having that reminder has been really helpful for me, especially the days when I just wake up and man, I'm overwhelmed. It happens to all of us.
Yeah, it does. And I'm glad you shared that picture, because if you look at, so that ball, I'm holding it in that picture, wearing that jersey. So like
that's
that,
awesome.
and that was my last pick six. That was my senior year. So
that's awesome.
And it's some people are like, man, why would you have stuff for yourself up? And it's like, dude, I don't want to forget that. I don't want to forget that feeling of like all the hard work that goes into being in the right spot, making that play, breaking a couple tackles, getting to the end zone, playing Division I football. Not a lot of people can say that, right? How many people have had a pick six in college? Not many. If you really break it down, not many, right? So, but no, I love that. I love the athletic background. I love the coaching yourself. You remind me of David Goggins when you said you're looking in the mirror and you're talking to yourself. I don't know if you follow him at all, but
I do.
I'm
nothing like David Goggins. I'm a fraction of David Goggins, but the mindset is where it starts. I mean, it really starts in the mind.
Yeah, I think we're all a fraction of David Goggins in some sort. But hey, man, before I get you out of here, I asked everybody this one question, and I want to talk to you about sales. So, like, if you could give somebody getting into sales, or somebody that maybe has been in sales that's hit a little bit of a slow or a slump, what type of advice would you give them to get going? What's the first thing you can do as a sales professional?
Yeah, number one, show up every day. Just show up every day. It's like working out. Like if you just show up at the gym, you're going to be in better shape. Even if you don't do a whole lot at the gym, just showing up and getting the habit of showing up every day is so critical. And from a sales perspective, that means, doing the work, becoming a professional salesman, and trying to evaluate where, maybe where the misses are happening. Is it because we're not following up? A lot of salespeople are not very good at follow up. Is it because we're not communicating very well? Maybe our emails and the communication that we have is just not very attractive to a buyer. Maybe we're not putting the time to build genuine relationships, with customers, which oftentimes includes being a very good note taker, writing things down from meetings and things about the people you're talking to. So when you go back, you can say, hey, how's your daughter doing in swimming? She doing great. People remember that and go, wow, he remembered, my daughter's a swimmer, and a lot of that's just little tricks, taking down notes. But it all starts with showing up every day and being consistent. I say this all the time: consistency beats intensity every day. If you go to the gym and work out for 8 hours one day a week, or you go to the gym and work out for 30 minutes a day, you're going to get more out of those 30 minutes a day than 8 hours one day. And so being consistent is really, really important in sales, and not being emotional, because man, sales is emotional. It's hard. Like you get rejected a lot. You got a deal you think's coming in. You're already counting that cash that you're going to be spending or that you need. And then something falls through. It happens. Budgets change, times change, priorities change. It happens. So removing the emotion of it helps you show up every day, because you start to realize that this is a numbers game. This is a job. I'm going to be professional at it. I'm going to go through all the steps I need to do. And then for me personally, I think this is huge now because of technology and because of social media. One way to really jumpstart, your sales is to engage on social media, especially with the people that you want to talk to. And if you start connecting with them, engaging with their content, they'll start seeing your content, and it builds this level of trust before you ever even talk to them. It's a little bit more of a long strategy, but it is a good strategy, because again, over time, people start to recognize you. They start to know what you care about. They start to trust you in a way that they wouldn't otherwise. And then when you do get them on the phone, you're halfway home. I mean, you've already done the hard work. And so, for those things, I would say, be consistent, show up every day, be professional. Don't be emotional about it. Just be professional. Do the right steps. Don't be afraid to evaluate. I mean, think about this, Gunnar. When you were in college, what did you guys do on Monday after a Saturday game? What's the first thing you guys would do?
On Monday morning? Okay, so Mondays was our off day, but the first thing we'd do is work
Okay,
out.
Tuesday. Well, let's talk about Tuesday. When do you guys look at film? You guys go in and watch the game,
Yeah,
and you
so
guys
okay,
say,
so here's
okay, that was good, that
so we
was
play
bad, and you
Saturday.
evaluate
Yeah,
yourself. Yeah.
yeah. Play Saturday. First thing you do Sunday morning is wake up, work out, get the lactic acid out. Next thing you do, lunch. Next thing you do is you got team meetings, team defensive meetings, then you got position meetings. And then depending on the day, you might go out and go through the water and get another recovery in, or you might go through a walkthrough depending on how bad the loss was. And you got Monday off, which was voluntary film. And then Tuesday, you knock out all your classes during the day. And then you got 2 o'clock, you got to be taped up, ready to roll. 2:15, you need to be in the film room. You might be in the film
Yeah.
room till 2:45. Now you're walking down to the field. Now you got practice till 5:36. Then you're over to the training room. Dude, every day.
Yeah.
5
But see,
years.
but the critical part of that, I think, is that you evaluated your performance.
Yeah.
You know, and
Absolutely.
do salespeople listen to calls? Do salespeople think back on a call? What went well? What didn't go well? And evaluate to get better, because professionals, that's what they do. They think through, how did that call go? Where'd that go wrong? What could I have done? What could I have said differently? And really becoming a professional, removing the emotion of it. That's my advice for salespeople. I encourage people to go down that route, and then don't be afraid to get involved on social, because you know this, and I know this. The more that you're on social, and the more that you're out there and you're engaging, you're putting out good content, you're trying to help people, whatever, you're building your brand, you get what I call celebrity status. And I don't mean that like in an arrogant way. What I mean by that is this: I'm never going to meet Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm never going to meet Simon Sinek, more than likely. Okay.
Mhm.
But I feel like I know those guys. I feel like I know something about them. And if someone from their organization called, I would take that phone call because of the trust that I have in that person, because of what they've done on social media. It's that celebrity status. It's like you know them even though you don't. And the more that you engage on social media, people will feel like they know you. They'll build trust. And as long as that's authentic with who you really are, as long as it matches up with reality, then you're halfway home on the trust factor and sales. And that's huge. You know, people buy from who they trust and who they like. And so that's a big part of it for me.
No, that's true. Tell everybody where they can watch you and where they can see you.
Yeah, so all my shows are on LinkedIn Live, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. You can find me on social media at Trey Griggs 24 on most of my handles. Otherwise, just Trey Griggs. And of course, betaconsultinggroup.com. You can learn about how we're helping companies tell their stories, move out of the realm of obscurity into becoming a well-known brand.
Hey, don't you have a show coming up like in 30 minutes?
I do. Our show is
Okay,
in 30 minutes, standing out. We got Chris Horton and Matthew Leffler on the show today, two of my buddies, and it's going to be great. Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Tell Matthew I said what's up. That's my boy. So,
I
Trey,
will. Guys, great.
thank you so much for coming on. We'll get you on again, talk some other stuff other than just your story, get some more details. But I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for the time.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. We'll talk to you soon. See you, bud.
See you, buddy. Bye.